Hey everyone, so in today's video I just wanted to take the time to talk about here the fact that, you know, I don't really see the whole point and purpose in improving myself, in self-improvement. And the reason I say that is because, you know, when I ever go on the internet and whenever I listen to any women on the internet, talk about their ideal man, talk about their expectations, talk about their standards and what they themselves specifically would require and expect and demand that a man would have to have in order to increase his chances at being able to either date her or especially marry her. And what I find interesting about that is whenever I go out in public in the real world, I see women with the kinds and types of guys that, that they say that they hate, that they find disgusting, that they find unattractive, that they would deem unworthy to date them or especially marry them. Like, I see women dating and marrying guys in real life out in public who are the exact opposite of what so many women are saying online. And it's not like, oh, these are like women that are like on the internet. Nobody's inside the internet, but they're being interviewed by real people, either on the streets or in some place, like in some building somewhere, or like, I don't know, being interviewed someplace. Like, it doesn't really matter where they're being interviewed, but, anytime I see anyone interviewing women, whether they're being interviewed by a woman or a man, asking them about, like, what their standards are, what their ideal man is, what a man would have to have in order to date any of these women, and especially marry any of them. And every single damn time, they all pretty much say the same thing ultimately, that their man has to at least be 6'2" or even taller than that he has to be ripped, muscular, in other words, like work out and have like a really great body, and also that he has to be rich, he has to be successful, he has to be earning just a shit ton of money in order to be able to date or let alone marry any of these women who have such ridiculous, insane, high standards of men. And, again, like, it doesn't matter where these women are being interviewed. They could be being interviewed on the fucking streets. Just random women. And also, what I also find interesting is, this is not just like exclusive to American women, but also like when women are interviewed from like London or whatever, from the UK, it's like same thing, same case, nothing different. Women being interviewed in Australia, like, it's just the same shit. Same exact shit. Nothing's different. Except, of course, their accent. That's the only difference. Other than that, there is no difference at all whatsoever. But again, I just find it so funny and confusing that whenever I go out in public, whenever I go out into the real world, and believe me, I do. I don't stay cooped up inside every single day of my entire life. I do go out in public once in a while. I do go places once in a while. I do go to the store as often as I can. Like, I do things and go places, given the chance or opportunity. I mean, I prefer not to, because obviously I'm not, I'm not an extrovert. I do not enjoy or love going to social events or gatherings. I fucking hate them. Especially because of the fact that I don't have a girlfriend. I never had one. And if anything, I never will. And to be honest, I don't even want a girlfriend. What I want more than that, deep down inside, is a fucking full-on wife. Just flat out. Because to me, the way I view dating is, ultimately it's kid shit. Because here's the thing. So many people will, date in their teens. Hell, some people even have been dating since they were kids. Some people, not most people. I would say most people, when it comes to the vast majority of, human beings, the human race or whatever, they start dating like around high school. Around the time that they're teenagers, like 14, 15 years old, is when most people normally and usually start dating. And dating as in making out like a bunch of aggressive, ravaging animals and start fucking the shit out of each other. And just getting unbelievably sexually pleasured by, either gender. The girls getting pleasured by the guys sexually and the guys getting pleasured by the girls sexually. And this is fucking shit that goes on and happens since most people are teenagers. And, that's something that I myself never took part in. That is something that I never got to experience. And to be honest, I'm not going to lie when I say that there was a part of me when I was a teenager, and hell, even now, if I'm going to be completely honest, that wishes that I would have been able to experience, fucking my brains out when I was a teenager. Like, I didn't want to be a man whore. Absolutely fucking not. Hell no. But I simply just, wanted one girlfriend that I could have fucked my brains out with, that I could have been hopefully sexually pleasured by to the ends of the world. But, part of the reason that I would not have wanted to do that is because, after all, I was raised in a very strict, religious, Catholic household. And according to the Bible, according to God's law, it's a mortal sin to have sex before marriage. And I couldn't agree more with that. Because the way I see so many people who have sex before marriage, I see their marriages eventually fall apart, become ruined, destroyed as time goes on. Like, I see it happen. I mean, and it's just so very common. And, I would go as far as to even say most people who have sex before marriage and, guys who get tons of girls pregnant before ever being married to any of them, they both turn out bad in the long run. Both that guy or those guys and those girls. And, I also believe that everything, before marriage is rooted in hate, ultimately. And, it shouldn't be that hard to believe that, because if you really think about it and really take a look at just, how many marriages actually last and are, strong, and, how many like husbands and wives actually like truly and deeply love, care about, and respect each other unconditionally, and, just appreciate each other and value each other who had sex before marriage. And I mean, I guess other like sexual like pleasure or activity. Not really that many. And, that's the cold, hard truth and reality of things. And, you know, many girls who have tons of sex before getting married turn out to be awful mothers and wives. And, they just end up hurting their children by passing down their, I don't know, problems or issues, if you will, their, trauma that they experience, the abuse that they experience. Because, you know, I know that, deep down inside, girls who have sex before marriage, and, on the surface, they'll deny this. They'll deny this flat out. But I know deep down inside, underneath all that, fake bullshit ass facade or mask that they try to put on, that they're really just hurting and crushed and broken and torn apart because of the fact that they had tons of sex before marriage. Hell, even having sex one time before marriage just will completely fuck up a girl. And, maybe or perhaps a guy. Hopefully it does. I hope to God that, men are, guilt ridden and humiliated and ashamed of themselves for, just taking advantage of so many girls since these men were teenagers themselves and just, abused them emotionally and mentally and maybe physically. I don't know. Like, and then, these guys, they never commit to any of these girls. They never raise any of their children when they're the reason why so many teenage girls get pregnant so young. But, on the surface, it looks great. It looks fun. It looks wonderful. It looks amazing. It just looks thrilling. And, on the surface, it really looks like, I missed out on one of the most, best things that this world and this life has to offer. It just really feels like and looks like I just, was deprived and underprivileged of such a, marvelous experience, in the flesh. And, that took a toll on me emotionally, and it weighed me down. It crushed me. It broke my heart, broke me to my core. It tore me apart emotionally, and it still does to this very day. But, I wouldn't want to have sex with a woman unless I was married to her. And I would hope that, whatever woman that I would choose to marry, hypothetically speaking, of course, that she herself would be a virgin just like me and not have ever had sex before marriage and doesn't, bring that, trauma and trouble and baggage and just all that bullshit into our marriage. And like, especially if she has kids, even if it's just one kid that she had with another guy, I can't raise someone else's kid. No man can. Ultimately, like, no one can raise another person's child. And, children are smart. They know who their real father is. They know who their real mother is. They're not stupid. I mean, like, even if they don't know, like what he looked like or what his name was or anything like that, they can tell deep down inside, like in their heart or whatever, that, if a man is their father or not. And, it would just be impossible to try to, um, have like a good, strong relationship with another man's child, if you're like the stepdad or whatever, and you're trying to raise another man's child, it's just not going to work out in the long run. And I would not want to raise another man's child. Hell no. I would want to raise my own kids that came from me, from my seeds. I would not want to raise or have anything to do with another man's children. No, thank you. I'll gladly pass. I'll avoid any women like that at all costs. And, you know, if I never can find a virgin woman, then I will never get married. Unfortunately. And even just talking about that just depresses me. Because, you know, I don't know, finding a virgin woman, especially in today's modern world and today's modern age, is just like near impossible. It's like, I don't know, finding something rare. Like, I don't know, striking gold, striking diamonds, finding treasure, finding something like really rare, like an artifact or something that's priceless. That's how rare it is to find women who are still virgins. And at least in America, and even in other Western countries, it is. And, you know, what I find also interesting about a lot of women who have had, well, maybe not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but at least some women who have had sex before getting married, even if it was just one time, they regret it. You know, I've seen more than one video on YouTube of like women like in their early 20s talking about how, oh, they regretted losing their virginity when they were 17 or when they were 14 or when they were 15, 16, I don't know, and trying to, you know, send a message on to other girls and other women to be like, you know, cherish your virginity, like don't just give it up to anyone, like save yourself for marriage, like just don't do it, it's bad as whatever. And I find that interesting. Even though so many girls and women keep continuing to do that bullshit and just never can seem to stop doing that, there are at least other women trying to convince other girls and women who have not yet lost their virginity, if they haven't, to not do it. Like, by all means, do not do it. Do not make the same mistake I did. But sadly, it just doesn't seem to be really working. And but I just find that fascinating, and I watch videos like that every now and then. But anyways, like I said before and earlier in this video, I don't see the whole point and purpose in myself, you know, trying to better myself, trying to improve myself by, like, of course and obviously working out, going to the gym, as if I even have fucking money to do that, or like a gym membership or some shit like that, when I don't. Even if I did want to, I don't have the money for that. And, you know, not to mention the fact that a lot of the guys I see out in public, and pretty much I would go as far to say pretty much all the guys that I have personally seen in real life out in public at grocery stores or any other social gatherings or events of any kind, the kinds of guys I see dating or married to women, most of the time, for the most part, are not ripped. They're chubby, they're short, they're poor and broke, they're not even that handsome, they're maybe average looking at best, about as equal to like my looks, if anything. Some of them are even ugly, and yet somehow, some way, miraculously, these men, these average looking men, these ugly looking men, still somehow, some way, have girlfriends and have wives and have children of their own, which doesn't make any logical sense to me, because when I hear women on the internet who are being interviewed talk about their standards are way too ridiculous, way too insane, way too unfair for most, if not all, men to meet. And some men can meet them, but like that's only the top 1%. Most men, the vast majority of men, will never be able to meet these ridiculous, insane, high expectations, standards, or demands that women for the longest time now have had. And yet, when I go out in public, like I said before earlier in this video, I see the complete and total opposite of what women say that they want and expect and demand that a man has to have in order to date them or marry them. And what's funny about a lot of these women who have such ridiculously high, just stupid bullshit ass standards that they do in like expectations and requirements of men who want to date or marry them, if there were even any men who would want to date or especially marry these extremely shallow, superficial women who are full of themselves, full of pride, self-entitled, selfish, greedy, narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, just freaks who are just like idiots. I don't know, but these women aren't even that attractive. Like, no shit. No lie. You know, a lot of these women I hear say these things on the internet, no matter where they're being interviewed, you know, they're average looking at best. Average. They're not, you know, they're not smoking hot. They're not like the most stunning, beautiful, gorgeous women that I have ever laid my eyes on. You know, they're not, I don't know, attractive. They're average looking at best. Average. And hell, some of them are even ugly and they're trying to look beautiful. And it's not working. And these are the women I see, you know, have these just insane out there standards. You know what's even kind of funny and interesting about, you know, human beings in general too, is something that I have believed for a while now, that most men and women are a combination of both ugly and average looking people. Most women and most men in the world, no matter where they live in the world, no matter what country they're from, are ugly and average looking. They're like a mixture or a combination of people who are either of those levels of attractiveness. Only like the top 10 or maybe 20% of men and women are like really beautiful and handsome. Most people aren't. Most people are ugly and average looking. Most women and most men. And so, like, anyways, the point I'm trying to make in this video is just like, why would I bother wasting my time improving myself in my life? I'm sorry, I meant my life the second time. And like bettering myself in my life, whatever, and like trying to be the best version of myself, as like many guys will put it, who are just so fucking full of themselves, who just annoy the shit out of me and piss me the fuck off. You know, I just don't see the point and purpose, because, you know, the men I see women with out in public in real life, out in the real world, you know, they didn't do anything. They didn't improve themselves. They're short, they're chubby, they're average looking, ugly looking, they're poor and broke. They're definitely not rich. They're not successful. And yet they have girlfriends, they have wives, they have children of their own. And, you know, if they can have that, you know, I should be able to also, but unfortunately I don't. And sometimes I wonder and ask myself, when going out in public, when going to these social gatherings or events, or just going to any public place, I just am so confused and stunned as to why these ugly guys, these average looking guys, have girlfriends, have wives, have children of their own. They have their own families, and they're also poor and broke. They're also short. They're also chubby. They're not ripped. They're not tall. They're not rich. They're not successful in life in any way, shape, or form. They're not that good looking or attractive, and yet they have one of the most and main things that I have longed and yearned for in my life since I was a child, which is ultimately having a wife, being married, and having my own children. That is, honest to God, something that I have longed and yearned for since I was a kid. And yet I never got it because, unlike most men, I lacked, social skills when it came to talking to girls that I liked, that I had a crush on. But then again, every girl I liked and had a crush on in high school when I was a teenager, many years ago now, were all taken up. They all had boyfriends. Every single girl I liked and had a crush on was already matched up with some guy who was way more handsome than me, way more good looking, and also more successful because, these were guys who were, football players and wrestlers and also good at that shit, unlike me. Even though I did try to be a football player, I did try to be a wrestler. I attempted to try to join things that were, popular and that made guys more popular and also more successful with the girls. And that's why I tried joining both of those things, but like one at a time, of course. And, you know, these guys were also ripped, they worked out, and also they were taller than me. So I did not, you know, have any chance with any of the girls that I had a crush on that I really liked a lot. Hell, that I even loved, if anything. That I wanted to be with so badly and desperately. And I never was able to get with any of them because the girls that I liked, the girls that I had a crush on, the girls that I loved and cared about, at least at first, originally, before I grew to start hating them, I was shy of. I was intimidated by them because of how beautiful they were, because of how cute they were, because of just how attractive that at least I myself personally thought that they were. And anytime I think a girl is like really super attractive and beautiful and good looking, I just immediately, all of a sudden, in like a split second, just get really shy, really timid, really intimidated, nervous, uncomfortable, stressed out. Um, I don't know, I pull my head back into my shell, metaphorically speaking. I just, I just can't not even stand being in the physical presence of any attractive, beautiful girls or women because even just being in the physical presence of them is enough to make me as a guy, and even since I was a teenager, and even for that matter, a kid, makes me feel extremely shy, intimidated, uncomfortable, nervous, stressed out, just all that shit. I just feel all those feelings just all at once, all at the same time. I start sweating uncontrollably. I mean, I never had confidence. I never had self esteem. I never was like a proud person who thought highly of myself. It's not like I never really loved myself. I just never thought, man, I'm so cool and awesome, and um, I can just get any babe that I want or whatever. Like, I wasn't, like most guys, I wasn't normal. I didn't, think of myself as some sort of god tier guy, and I didn't think I was that handsome or good looking, and you know, I wasn't even really able to talk to girls that I liked. Because even just simply talking to them and not even like asking them out or trying to flirt with them or whatever, just talking to them simply, I wasn't even able to do that. Not even that. So it's never been easy for me in my life. Never. Not once. And, you know, sometimes inside my mind, whenever I go out in public, whenever I go out into the real world, whenever I go to any public place or any sort of public social gathering or event, I laugh inside my head because I think, like, my God, how did these ugly and average looking guys have such beautiful girlfriends and wives? How did they have kids of their own? When they're short, when they're fat, when they're ugly or average looking, when they're not rich or successful in their lives in any way, shape, or form, and yet they still have a girlfriend. They still have a wife. They still have kids of their own. And then, I ask myself, well, maybe it's because of their personality. Maybe it's just simply because they were confident. Maybe it's because they were funny. Even if you're like a guy who's not necessarily confident, if you can at least be funny, that is one of like the quickest ways to a woman's heart, is a guy who's funny, a guy who can make a girl laugh, because girls love humor. They love funny guys. I would say is one of the things that girls love, probably even more than a confident guy. But then again, like, I feel like you would have to be confident in order to even be funny. Like, to be the class clown, for example. Like, if you're not confident, if you're not an extrovert, if you're not that much of a social person, you're not even going to be a class clown, because you're not going to have the confidence or, you know, like whatever, to be able to, pull that off, to be able to do that since like you're a teenager. And so, if you're just ultimately a shy, introverted guy around pretty girls, then you're fucked. You just have absolutely no hope. There is no hope for you whatsoever. Unless, of course, you know, there were girls who actually did love, care about, and respect shy, introverted men and thought that they were cute. I mean, I have heard that girls and women have said, like, oh, I think shy, introverted guys are cute. I think they're, uh, uh, interesting or something. But, they also say sometimes they're like mysterious, but they're only talking about shy, introverted, attractive men when they say shit like that, which is what annoys me. Like, they're not talking about shy, introverted, average looking men. They're not talking about shy, introverted, ugly looking men. And you know what the most heartbreaking thing is the fact that, the ugly and average looking men originally used to be the, only types of men who actually did love and care about and respect and want to marry and be with, these really pretty girls and have kids with and families with and whatnot, and care for and provide for and like whatnot for the rest of their lives. But, girls and women never give guys like that a chance. They never have, and they never will, at least not anytime soon. And, when these men just keep getting their hearts broken over and over and over again, they turn into monsters. And it should not be shocking or surprising when they do, because, human beings are social creatures. We're in need of love and affection and care. And if we don't receive that, what are we going to become? Obviously, we're going to become monsters then. We're going to become like demons. If nobody loves us and cares about us and respects us, if nobody gives us any affection at all whatsoever, I mean, how else do you expect ugly and average looking men to become, to evolve into? They evolve into incels, monsters, black-pilled, just sexually frustrated, extremely depressed, heartbroken, suicidal, whatever, men who seek comfort from other incel men online. It's sad. It's not funny. It's not humorous. This is no joking matter. And women and girls never blame themselves. They never think it's their fault that men turn into these kinds of guys, when it honestly is. And there's no question about it. But anyways, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in today's video. And that's, the point that I wanted to make, and why, why should I improve myself? Some people, I'll end this video with saying this. Some people will tell me, do it for yourself. I don't even want to do it for myself, because I'm fine with the way I am. And I don't mean like emotionally or mentally. I just mean physically. I don't have a problem with being short and fat, personally. I don't. If me being fat bothered me so much, I would have worked out a long time ago, but I never did. I never have, because I didn't want to. Because I don't hate being fat. I don't mind being fat. I don't mind being short. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I don't mind being average looking. I don't mind being shy and introverted. It doesn't bother me. I have no problem or issue with myself. It's women or girls that do. And unless they themselves change, I shouldn't have to. And, here's another thing, and I guess this will be the last thing. I apologize for this video being too long and stretched on. Women don't have to do anything. They don't have to bring anything to the table. I mean, literally, they don't. Honest to God, they bring absolutely nothing to the table. Most women nowadays do not even cook and clean anymore. Most women nowadays refuse to be housewives. By all means. They refuse to be housewives. They refuse to cook and clean. They hate that shit. To most women, that's oppressive and degrading and humiliating or whatever. And women would not dare to go back to those times. They wouldn't dare. And but what's funny is women don't have to be rich in order for men to want to date or marry them. Women don't have to be tall. Women don't have to be ripped and muscular. Women don't have to be successful in life. Women don't have to be confident or have self-esteem. Women don't need to have tons of friends and I don't know, and have really cool, awesome clothes and a nice big fancy house and have a nice big fancy expensive car. Women are so unbelievably superficial. Way more than men. They're way more materialistic than men. Honestly, there's no question about it. I don't know, Us men are way more basic and simple in what we want and desire from a woman, from a girl. We're not that picky. I mean, I certainly am, but I'm one guy. If women aren't willing to settle, then I shouldn't either. I really don't. I honestly feel that way. If women are not going to stop having high standards, I'm not going to stop having high standards. And I refuse to, lower my standards. Honest to God, I refuse. I'm just doing what they're doing. But anyways, let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.